everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven,
My name is Jerry.
and today we are here to talk about a little bit of Carolina Panthers news. Um, Most of it kind of negative, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's the week before the draft. Not a ton going on, um, but there are a couple of one major piece of news I think you could say for the franchise, and then a couple of other tidbits that we'll chat about. But Jerry, I kind of wanted to kick it off talking about the Rock Hill fiasco.
Yeah.
As we all know, a couple of years ago, the Panthers and Rock Hill, the city of Rock Hill, came to an agreement to have the Panther like a whole sports complex, like training facility, and that's where off-season workouts will be held. And really, the Panthers essentially would be based out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, as a business. Um, Construction has started. It seemed like they were making pretty good progress, and kind of within the last month or so, you started hearing some
Yeah.
some
Well,
reports coming out saying that maybe this isn't going to work out. And as of I get today or yesterday, the Panthers essentially terminated the contract with
yeah,
Rock Hill.
I believe it was Tuesday or Wednesday. They terminated the contract,
Mhm.
and it started because the Panthers organization said that, there was a contract signed. They were supposed to get, payments from the
Mhm.
city, and they weren't receiving the payments. They were backed on the payments. And I guess they reached out to them, and then some politicians got involved, and a lot of other back and forth. And then now here it is, where they terminated the contract. They canceled the contractors. I think it was last week sometime.
Mhm.
So it doesn't look like Rock Hill's going to happen. But the CEO of Tepper Sports Entertainment, who's basically over it all,
Mhm.
he had a sit down with some people on Wednesday and said that they extended an olive branch to the city and the county and the state to sit back down and fix what has happened. He went on to say that the public partners need to look at the structure of this deal with a new set of lenses because it's almost a year since they've been able to reach an agreement to fix the current problems. So I wouldn't say it's dead in the water, but I also think the politicians got on their side, which I'm not getting into the political side, but I also think Tepper wants to play hardball. Tepper wants to play hardball because he wants a new stadium, and he knows if he rolls over for Rock Hill, Charlotte will try to do the same thing, I think.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, if it's as simple as Rock Hill wasn't living up to their end of the agreement, and there was no light at the end of the tunnel for this money to be paid, then I really don't blame Tepper Sports and Entertainment for terminating the contract. I was reading today. There's always two sides to the story. I was reading today, trying to kind of get some more information on this that hasn't already been out there. But some of the Rock Hill and South Carolina, government officials were saying that they were trying to pay the Panthers, that they had asked
Yeah,
Tepper Sports and Entertainment for some additional information that they needed to, legally be able to release the
yeah,
bonds. And that, it's like some financial information and some, like firm dates on when this thing would be done and ready to go. And that the Panthers weren't providing that information. And that they were, that Rock Hill, that the South Carolina government, they were ready to go ahead and start releasing the bonds in early 2022, and the Panthers asked them to stop, to hold off on it. So
hmm,
again, that's their side of the story. The Panthers have their side of the story. The truth is somewhere in the middle, I'm sure. But it seems like this whole thing started out, in pretty good faith. I mean, it seemed like a good idea. It's not far from Charlotte. It's a beautiful
area.
complex that they're building there. Yeah, the area is pretty nice. A little too much crime there, but I think they were hoping that having the Panthers come in there would really boost the whole area,
Yeah,
job wise, economy wise, everything. So I'm surprised, I guess, in the sense that this has happened. If I had to bet, I would say that construction will restart here within a month or so. they'll fix everything, and we'll be back on track. If I had to
I
guess.
I agree. I do think it is partially hardball though. I think Tepper has seemed to be. I don't know. No, straight up, I don't think he's been a very good owner so far with the Panthers. I feel like
Mhm.
he's a little bit shady. And when he took over, he was a hedge fund. That was one of my biggest fears. Is he's a money guy.
Mhm.
He's he. This is I know it's business, but it's like you're a billionaire, multi-billionaire, and you're
Right.
nickel and diming cities for money for your own team and your own.
And
So
nickel and diming, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not nothing.
sure, yes, it is
To
not.
him, it's not nearly as much as it would be to me or you. But yeah, I mean, Tepper is a businessman. I get that. But and yes, I 100%. The NFL is a business. The Panthers are a business. He's not in it to lose money. But no NFL owner has ever lost money on the team, by the way.
Not in recent
Um,
times. Let's put
right.
that. But
Well, yeah, you would say like within the last 30 years has never happened. Um, but it's a business, but it's more than a business. It's the community. It's
mm-hmm.
it means a lot to a lot of people, and I think he's going to have to realize that at some point before he's really embraced by the community.
I think he better be careful himself. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't fire Rule. He really has been quiet on the Rule situation. I still think that's probably the biggest mistake of the offseason. And then he's doing this. I mean, when he first got here, he was trying to charm everybody and stuff like that. And since then, like, what is it, the Q rating or something like that, of positivity?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something like it's probably dropped dramatically. I mean, would
His
you
yeah,
write?
like his
Would
approval
you,
rating
yeah?
is yeah.
Would you consider David Tepper a good owner right now?
I would not consider him a good owner right now. No.
Okay.
I like David Tepper. I let me rephrase that. I liked David Tepper when he first started because he was kind of what we wanted, right? He was speaking to the fans all the
Mm-hmm.
time. He was making bold moves, by going and getting Eric Reed and you know, kind
Yeah.
of giving. I want to say giving up on Cam, but making the the unpopular decisions that at the time I felt were the right decisions, and he was still making them. But now he's making unpopular decisions that seem like the wrong decisions. By keeping Rule around, by pulling the plug on this Rock Hill thing. This multi billionaire that I believe he is the most wealthy NFL owner, right? I
He
think that's
is.
the case.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
there
it's
was.
tough. It's a tough look. It's a bad look.
Yeah, and then there was also something back. I forgot about this about last week. The city of Rock Hill said that they sent a countermeasure or something like that to Tepper
Mm-hmm.
organization, and they never responded back. That the politicians actually came out and pleaded, "Hey, please, speak publicly. Let us know what you think because
Mm-hmm.
we haven't heard back from you." And nothing until
Yeah.
they just
And again,
basically.
that's that you figure that's a negotiation tactic,
Mm-hmm.
from Tepper, again playing hardball, like you said. I've seen a lot of speculation about what this means for the Panthers' future in this region. I wouldn't look at it that hard. I don't think the Panthers are going anywhere. The attendance is still great. The team is absolutely supported here. He hasn't even they haven't even entered any negotiations or anything for a new stadium here. So I think that's extremely premature to be worried about that. So I would not worry about that right now, at least. And I would have to believe that when the time comes, the city's going to pony up. They understand how important it is to have a professional NFL franchise here. There's only 30 of them, 32 of them in the league, or in the country. So
Yeah,
you don't want to lose one.
And I want to say a couple years ago, I guess it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, that there was the refresh of the stadium, and I think that
Mhm.
extended their lease to like 10 years or something like that.
And
So,
I think it's
so
like,
they,
yeah, I think it was like in the mid 2020s. So I mean, I think we're coming up on it. But again, it's Tepper's going to want a new. He's going to want a new stadium within the next 5 years. I have a feeling that's coming soon.
yeah.
The request for that.
Oh, I'm sure it is. So
Yeah.
far, I haven't been that surprised. But yes, his tenure here as an owner has not been well. He has not done this franchise any services. I
He's
mean,
had no success. He's had
no.
no success so far. He's gotten rid of the best coach in Panthers history. He's gotten rid of the best quarterback in franchise
Hmm.
history. He has kept around, you could say, if not the worst coach in Carolina Panthers history, the second worst coach in
I would
Panthers
say
history.
second worst.
Yeah.
Seaford was obviously worse, but
Yeah. Um,
you know what they did? They fired him when he was doing bad, and they knew it. And,
they
and he
absolutely
gave
did.
him a
Yep.
huge contract when he was unproven.
Yeah.
So
And again, am I gonna? I can't be too upset at giving Rule a third year if Tepper really believes in him. You know,
yeah,
I can't be upset about that. If like it's his team, he can do it. Do we agree with it? No. Would we fire Rule? Of course. But if Tepper is like really believes in him, is in those meetings all the time, and just really feels like this is the year, then okay, I'm
but
fine with that. I would love to hear that from him.
this he put this team in such a bad situation this year. He did. There's no quarterback on this roster that you feel comfortable starting. You have to revamp the offensive line, which they've done a nice job in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You only have one pick in the first 3 rounds, which is the sixth pick. And this is a horrible quarterback draft. So you're going to have to keep going to the bargain bin quarterback situation. Or you're going to have to
Potentially.
stick your neck out for a quarterback. And then you're saddling him with a rookie quarterback, which most likely won't take you to the playoffs. And then what do you do next year? I mean, this is he really should have been fired, in my opinion. That's you because you can't. There's just a no-win situation. This is a no-win situation for the Panthers unless they get lucky.
Yeah. Well, getting a in this draft especially, getting the right quarterback, I believe is going to be 100% luck. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's five quarterbacks really that are like first and second round quarterbacks, and every single one of them
Late
has been linked
first,
to the
early
Panthers at
second.
some. No, I'm just saying, like
Yeah,
first and second round quarterbacks, right? There's five. There's basically five of them,
but
right?
no real top tier
That's what I'm
first
saying.
rounders.
There's no consensus about
Yeah,
who the best one is. And I was going to say every single one of them has been linked to the Panthers at six. Every single one of them. So, I was reading today like Ritter is, would the Panthers go for him at six if they believe he's the guy? It would not be a reach. Well, yeah, it would be a reach, I think. Now, if the Panthers can't find any trade back partners, then they're going to have to do what they're going to have to do. But Jerry, there could be another option at quarterback out there.
yes. Baker Mayfield to the Panthers is all swirling a buzz. Mary Kay Cabot, I think that's how you say her last
Mary
name.
Kay Cabot. Yep.
The Cleveland Plain dealer reported that the Panthers have the inside track to land Baker Mayfield. And
Mm-hmm.
I read this and I just was like, of course. Any mediocre quarterback we're going to be attracted to. But what do you do? He's on the same tag that Sam Darnold is, tagging 18.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to have two quarterbacks like that. You're going to have to trade for him, try to make Cleveland eat that cap. And Cleveland's trying to prep themselves up like, oh, we'll keep them both, him and Deshaun Watson. No, you won't.
No,
This is
you don't want to. You
no.
certainly don't want to.
Even if
Yeah.
he gets,
Yeah.
suspended all year, you don't want to.
I mean, I think they'll keep him if they can't find a trade partner because If they cut him, they still have to pay the money. So you may as well keep him on the roster in that case, right?
I don't know if I would want him on that roster.
I mean, I don't think they do want him on the roster, but if they keep him around and Deshaun Watson is suspended for a significant amount of time, they're going to be glad they kept him. Baker Mayfield's good enough to keep them afloat.
You say that, but I mean, he's already throwing temper tantrums in interviews.
Oh, I know. He doesn't want to be there.
I think he would be a cancer in that locker room. I'm not saying he would be a cancer in all the locker rooms if he gets traded or anything, but in Cleveland, he doesn't want to play there. Yeah. And he's going to let it. You're right. Yeah, he's going to let everyone know. Everyone in that locker room knows. Yeah. So.
And it is probably pretty unrealistic that they would keep him.
Yeah.
In any case, someone's going to trade for him. You'd mentioned earlier that you had seen some rumblings of a 5th-round pick potentially for Baker. In a vacuum, that sounds great, honestly. When you also think, well, then we're paying $37 million essentially for Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold for this year, then it doesn't sound so great.
I personally think that whoever trades for him, Cleveland's going to have to eat some of that cap. And they negotiated Deshaun Watson's contract, so he's only a $1 million cap hit this year. So It's not going to be the end all for them to eat some of that cap.
Well, let me ask you this. If the Panthers just said, hey, Sam Darnold and, a 5th or a future 4th or something like that for Baker Mayfield, just swap the salaries. You're bringing Baker in, giving him basically a 1-year shot, and you're giving up, a 5th-round pick. I'm okay with that if that happens. I think that's a fine deal.
I would be fine with that because then we're just sitting at the same situation. I mean,
with a slightly better quarterback.
Yeah, slightly better, and he can at least attempt to play. Maybe
and actually,
he makes...
before you all comment on YouTube, he's a better quarterback. I say slightly. He is a much better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
I rank him around 15th in the league.
Yeah, which is right much better than worst. Which Sam Darnold is the worst.
Sam Darnold's 35.
Yeah,
There's 32 teams.
Right, exactly. There's several backups in the league we would rather have. I mean, it seems like it's Baker or Jimmy G if you're going to go with the veteran, trade for a veteran quarterback. The Panthers have the most cap space of any team in the league right now. They could fit either one on the roster currently without having to do too much work. Of those two, Jerry, given that we know Baker is, essentially a $19 million cap hit and Jimmy G is a $27 million cap hit, probably would rather have Baker, right?
I would, yes.
Yeah.
I would.
What if the salaries were even? I mean, Jimmy G's a winner.
I think I would lean towards Jimmy G. That being said, both are on their last year of the contract. And I like that because then we're going to be out of all these quarterback money. And if one plays well, great. We'll re-sign him. If they don't play great, oh, great. It's a great quarterback draft next year. And we'll go for a quarterback then. Probably with a new coach. At that point.
Yeah, I would say if we're in position to draft one of the top quarterbacks next year, then we probably have a new coach. I would imagine. Yeah. Ben McAdoo.
I mean, if we're not re-signing one of the guy we bring in, let's be honest, we're not making the playoffs, and then we're.
Speaking of, this is not on our list to talk about, but did you see any of the press conferences from Ben McAdoo and Phil Snow?
I heard about them. I heard about them on the radio. I did not listen to them.
I watched them both. Go ahead.
Supposedly, Ben McAdoo claimed Sam Darnold was a starting quarterback for the Panthers, and then 2 minutes later, took it back.
Well, so he was basically asked if Sam Darnold was the starting quarterback, and he said yes. Now, what else are you going to say? Because Sam Darnold currently would be the starting quarterback. If the season started today, Sam Darnold would be the starting quarterback. There's no one else on the roster that you would want to put out there.
I am not. So
Ben McAdoo was answering honestly. He then did retract it essentially and just be like, well, it's it's Matt Rule's decision, and we got to see what's happening the rest of the offseason, blah blah blah. So, but yeah, I think I don't think he meant it as like we're going into this season with Sam Darnold as our starting quarterback, and we're super excited about it. I don't think that's what he meant.
Yeah, I don't either. I 100% agree with that. I think that was just, yeah, he's right now on my depth chart of the players we have on the roster. He beats out PJ Walker.
Yeah, and he said some things about Sam Darnold that said something like still believes that he's got magic in him, and things like that. Just things that what else is he gonna say? What else is he gonna say?
He's not gonna go lambash the guy that
Right.
he may have to play with.
Exactly. There is no guarantee the Panthers are going to have another option on the roster. So if you're Ben McAdoo, if you're Matt Rule, if you're anybody, other than maybe Robbie Anderson, you're going to want to prop up your quarterback, So Robbie Anderson, by the way, does not want Baker Mayfield on this team.
No, not at all. Robbie Anderson doesn't want Sam Darnold on this team.
I don't know who Robbie Anderson wants, but he does not want Baker Mayfield. Does not seem to be happy with Sam Darnold.
Teddy Bridgewater seems to be his favorite quarterback so far.
Oh man, we should have just kept Teddy Bridgewater. Honestly, we wouldn't have won. I don't think we would have won many more games, but at least we'd be out of that contract now, and we could do something now.
Yeah, and we would still have a second round pick.
And we'd still have a second round pick, yep. and a fourth round, an extra fourth round pick, and
yeah.
All right. Well, any other thoughts there before we kind of get into the worst news of the week?
we're gonna go over have a draft profile sometime beginning of next week before the draft kicks off in a week. So there is one thing I wanted to think about. We've talked about the quarterbacks and everything. I was thinking about this today. With Scott Fitterer being in his second year, do you think he would actually stick his neck out and draft one of these quarterbacks, number 6 overall? I mean, let's be honest. We've mentioned it. All these guys are late first, second round picks in most drafts. This is his second year. I know we discussed Matt Rule is in a make or break year, but Scott Fitterer is not. Scott Fitterer is building his resume right now. Would he really want to stick his neck out for one of these guys?
Well, as we know, Matt Rule has a lot of say in the roster decision. So I think Scott Fitterer desperately wants to trade back.
Oh, yeah.
Desperately does not want to make that 6th pick, regardless of who it is. But yeah, I do think that he would take a quarterback at 6 if, number one, he couldn't find any trade back partners. And number 2, they just fell in love with Willis or Pickett or whoever it is. I do. I think they would, because he even said in a press conference recently, basically, that when you have the opportunity, you have to swing for the fences. You just have to go for it. You have to get that position right. And if they feel like one of these guys is, worthy of that pick, then yeah, I 100% believe they'd do it.
And here's my second thought. I keep hearing this weird grumblings about Brady Christensen at left tackle with James Campen kind of liking him there, saying that his arms aren't short. I'm wondering, I'm wondering if this is part of the smoke screen of not trying to get a left tackle and that he's already penciled in, obviously penciled, never pinned right now,
sure,
at left tackle for this team.
Yeah, James Campen, I believe, had a press conference today. I have not gone and watched that yet, but I do want to watch it because I think I'm really going to like that guy. But yeah, he said something, and I'm paraphrasing here, about how Brady Christensen, maybe didn't have the longest arms in the world, but it's really rare to find his talent with the arm length. So usually you have one or the other.
Yeah.
But he does like Brady Christensen. And again, I kind of feel like it's the same thing with Ben McAdoo. You're going to prop up the guys that you have right now on the roster.
Oh, I get that. But
yeah,
well, we saw Brady Christensen look the best left tackle out of all of our guys last year. So
not super high praise, by the way.
But James Campen even said that, yeah, he looked good, but I wish I saw more of him at left tackle.
Right.
So
as do we.
And so I was just, I know this is not the draft profile stuff, but I was just contemplating. I wonder if maybe they have enough confidence if the big guys aren't there, or if they get a really nice package to trade back. They're saying, "Hey, we can go grab this quarterback, grab this,
Hmm.
linebacker, you know, because we're probably going to need a linebacker."
If I had to, if, just my feeling is, I think the Panthers, if they stay at 6, they draft one of the tackles.
Yeah, one of the big
If they
three.
trade back, we're going to see Brady Christensen starting at left tackle. That would be my guess.
Yeah, the only one I could see us trading back and still getting is the Penning guy. I can't think of his first name.
Yeah, like Trevor Penning or something, but I
Yeah,
think he
but
definitely
he'll.
has a few question marks. He's certainly not in that top tier
Oh no, no,
of
no.
guys
There,
that
there's three
we've talked
guys that
about.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, but that would be my thought is, if the Panthers pick at 6, it's going to be a left tackle. If not, then it's going to be a quarterback if they can still stay in the first round. Um, and Brady Christensen will be that guy.
mm. Now I mentioned that they may be looking for linebacker.
Hmm.
The Panthers signed a couple linebackers in free agency, Corey Littleton, and newly signed linebacker Damien Wilson was arrested for assault with bodily injury of a family member last week. Um, so he may not be on this team much longer. He did post a $5,000 bail. He participated on Monday on off-season program, but hasn't been seen at the facility since. During the interviews today, Phil Snow wouldn't comment on him.
Yeah, but nor should he.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was an ex-girlfriend or a current girlfriend at the time who's now an ex-girlfriend. I was reading about it. There's some salacious details if you want to go out there and look at it,
Yeah.
about why he was upset and all this stuff. But essentially, he I think choked her friend and he came at her with a tire iron or something. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Threatened to
there's a
kill
lot.
her.
Yeah, threatened to kill her. A lot going on there. Would not be surprised if Damian Wilson is released from the
Yeah.
Panthers here at some point soon.
Yeah. She also
Um,
claims that he tried to run her over in his vehicle. So,
yeah. Again,
claim I
innocent until proven guilty, but um, a
for a
lot of smoke
backup
here. A lot of smoke
backup
here.
backup journeyman linebacker, which I
Yeah.
thought we both thought was good depth.
Yeah, I
It's
like the
it's it's
signing.
it's not worth it. It's not worth to keep this guy on the
It's not.
team,
No.
especially since we already have another arrest earlier in the offseason.
Yeah, and this one, I think this is just a misdemeanor, um, as at least
How?
right now. Well, so apparently in the official police report, there's no tire iron mentioned, which I think if he had a weapon, it would have risen to the
Felony
level of a
or
felony. But at least at this time, it's a misdemeanor. That's also why the bail was so low. I was like $5,000. I had to actually saw that in our notes, and I had to go look and make sure that was right because it seems so low. But if it's a misdemeanor, that makes more sense. But yeah, not the Panthers, they go all in for questionable character Deshaun Watson, and I say
mm-hmm.
questionable character in quotes. Um, and then they grab Damian Wilson, who's been arrested, and I think Ian Thomas was arrested recently, and
Yeah.
it's just
Shy Smith.
yeah, Shy Smith. Um, Not been a very good offseason so far.
No.
A lot of good has happened in this offseason,
They've made some
in
good
terms of, yeah,
signings
yeah.
for
But
the
some of
team.
yeah, but with the Rock Hill thing and now this Damon Wilson thing, and not landing the quarterback that you went all in for.
Being the
Matt
laughing
Rule's still
stock.
here.
I mean, when TV commentators, NFL commentators are joking about crappy organizations, the
Mhm.
Panthers' name is coming up. We are
Yeah,
now like the Jets. I mean that the Jets are actually getting more love than the Panthers. We are the laughing stock right now. That is how crazy and
yeah.
sad this is.
It's something that we have not experienced here.
Ever.
Um, we experienced it with the Hornets.
Yeah.
In the past, we definitely have been the one of the more poorly run organizations in the NBA, but the NFL under Jerry Richardson, who had his faults, but
Big
we were never a
faults.
laughing stock. We were
Yeah.
never we were always respected, and the culture here, at least amongst the football team, was always very well respected
Mm-hmm.
across the league. That is no longer the case. And I was always very proud to be a Panthers fan and very proud of our team. And I can't say that I am anymore, which is really sad, honestly.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we did have that 1-15 season under Richardson, but we still weren't the laughing stock.
No, and 2 years later, we were in the Super Bowl, you
Exactly.
know?
I mean,
So,
it was a down year. Like there was a lot of things that went wrong, obviously,
mm-hmm,
but
yeah.
it looked like,
Yeah,
there
it's
was a
like
plan.
anytime the Panthers have had a bad season, they've bounced back and they've had pretty good success. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we had the bad season with Clausen, draft Cam, and that's 8 or 9 years of really exciting football. Not always successful, but there was a Super Bowl in there, and there were
Mm-hmm.
several multi-digit win seasons, and it's just those days are not here right now.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see it. I think there's a lot of good players on this roster. I don't
Yeah.
want to like knock it, but I don't know if the organization is set up for them to succeed.
And then again, if they hit on quarterback, if you draft a Malik Willis or a Kenny Pickett and
But I
they
don't.
hit and they hit, if they do and they hit, everything changes.
No, I agree that if you hit on the quarterback, but I still don't know if I trust Matt Rule. To be honest with you,
We've seen some pretty
questionable.
questionable coaches have success. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is not a good coach. He is not a good coach. They almost fired him after this season, and then they went to the playoffs and had a really good season. Um, I could see Matt Rule. I could see the Panthers winning in spite of Matt Rule if they got that QB position correct. I don't know that Matt Rule. I don't know that I trust Matt Rule to evaluate the talent well enough to find that guy.
Yeah,
I think
that's true
that's
too.
that's probably where we're at. By the way, I saw some rumors about Kyler Murray, potentially being on the trade block. I guess he wants a contract, and the Cardinals aren't ready to give it to him, and blah blah blah. What if the Panthers were to trade 3 first-round picks for Kyler Murray? How would you
No,
feel about that?
I would not feel good. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan. I think he's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he completely changes. He is not Deshaun Watson good, in my opinion. Point blank.
Yeah, I definitely think he's a tier
Below.
below that.
I think he's a very good quarterback, top 10 quarterback,
He's
but
fringe top 10, yeah.
he's not that elite quarterback that he's going to be wanting 50, 60 million dollars a year, and you're going to handcuff this team doing that, giving Kyler Murray 50, 60 million. Real 40 million someone's going to write in the
I
comments,
mean,
I know, but
here's the deal. Like, the Panthers eventually are going to have to pay a quarterback 40, $50 million.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And honestly, we should be thrilled to have a quarterback that's worth that kind of money, right? Maybe you don't think Kyler Murray is worth that kind of money, and I can respect that if that's the case. I like Kyler Murray. I don't know that he's a $50 million a year guy. But I think I'd make the trade.
I wouldn't. I just.
I think he's better than any of the quarterbacks that are in this draft.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, hands down.
Yeah.
Again, I'm saying top 10 quarterback. He's not the elite guy, but he's a good quarterback and
He's still very young,
very young.
and I think he's been poorly coached. again, I don't like, if you don't like Kyler Murray, I don't really like Cliff Kingsbury. I don't think you
I
like
don't.
Cliff Kingsbury either.
I was gonna say
But
I'm not a fan
yeah,
of Cliff Kingsbury either,
yeah,
but
yeah. I don't know. That was just kind of something that I had seen out there in the ether. So I don't know if that's realistic or not. But yeah, something
yeah,
to keep an eye on, I guess. If the draft comes and goes and there's still no QB on the roster,
yeah. Sorry, my
then we'll
printer
see.
just started up and started doing something weird behind me. It was kind of creepy.
Oh, printing? Was it printing something?
No, it just started up randomly.
Hmm.
Sorry.
All right, no problem. All right. Well, as you said, we will be doing a draft preview next week.
Mm-hmm. We will be
I think
doing
we're
it.
gonna. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think we're gonna talk some later round guys. Just a couple of quick hits on those. We'll do another mock. We'll do some predictions. We're gonna do our bet sheet this year. We
Oh,
should.
yeah, definitely.
Yep, we'll do that, and yeah, it'll be fun. So maybe maybe one long episode next week, or maybe two normal size episodes.
I would say we'll try to do it. Do the mock and the bets in one, and we'll try to knock the draft preview one out.
Yeah,
And then we'll also be back. So we'll be back on 3 times at least
at
because
least
then
yeah, we got the draft too.
we got the draft too. So
Currently, we do not have any day 2 picks. So if that remains that way, then we may not be back that Friday night, but we'll definitely be back that Thursday night after the Panthers make their pick. Could be a long night for us, Jerry. If the Panthers trade back 2 or 3 times in the first round,
yeah,
it could be a late night. Could be a Friday morning podcast.
Sylvia actually goes, "Did you took Friday off? Why?" I was like, "Because it's gonna be a long night for me, probably." That's what I
Yeah,
said.
yeah. I'm off Thursday and Friday.
I didn't take Thursday off, but
Well, I took Thursday off for other reasons, but I was like, well, I'm going to take Thursday. I might as well take Friday too for the draft. So yeah, it's coming, man.
I'm excited because then we can kind of look at the roster. I still like last year's draft. I know not everyone panned out so far, but I think that some of the guys will be able to.
And I'm still giving it an incomplete. I think it all depends on if JC becomes like an A+
I know you're not in
guy.
Terrace Marshall, but I am expecting him to hopefully take a step.
I hope. I mean, I'm hoping. I'm not expecting.
I think the whole quarterback and bad offensive coordinator really kind of shut him down.
We'll see. I mean, he's gonna have. I think he'll have every opportunity. I think the Panthers would love to see him take over the number 2 spot and make Robbie Anderson kind of expendable and tradable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think he might be Ian Thomas 2.0 in terms of hype versus production, but we'll see.
All right. We want to thank you for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show.
We will be back, as I said, sometime next week. Definitely before the draft, and then during the draft, and after the draft. So going to be a busy podcast feed for you next week. But until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.